Welcome to the Structure Studios online video series. This video will explain Stage 4, Terrain. The Terrain stage allows you to customize the terrain to create elevation and grades in both 2D and 3D. First, we'll work in 2D. In the panel, we have two options, multiple and single slope. We'll start by reviewing single slope. Click the single slope button. When single slope is active, the 2D view is divided into two screens. The top screen shows the 2D grid with a property slope line running down it. The bottom screen is a graph that shows the current elevation of the property slope line. We can change the slope by adding elevation points to the slope line in the top screen and adjusting those points in the bottom screen. With the Move tool active, we'll add elevation points to the slope line in the top screen. We can also add points with the Add Move Point button. When we set a slope, we work with pairs of points. For this project, we'll click to place our first point on the back fence. We'll then move towards the house and place a second point about 20 feet away. Once the second point is added, the bottom screen shows the distance between the points. We'll use the Move tool to adjust the second point until we show 20 feet between the 2 points. We can adjust the points on the top or bottom of the screen. We can even zoom in for more precise control. In the bottom screen, we now have 2 points, both set to 0 feet. The rear fence has an elevation of 4 feet. With our mouse, left-click the point on the right. We can hold down the left mouse button and move the mouse up until the point reaches an elevation of 4 feet. Or we can type in the elevation of 4 feet in the point height box in the panel. We use the contour interval slider to adjust how the topography lines appear in 2D. The lower the interval, the more lines will appear. We'll set our contour interval to 1 foot. The Terrain Detail slider adjusts the transition between the points. Moving the slider towards Smooth will create a gradual, smooth slope. Let's take a look at our slope in 3D by clicking the 2D 3D button at the top of our screen. Our slope looks great. Our wall automatically adjusted its height to account for the new slope. Let's head back to 2D and review multiple slopes. Click the Multiple Slope button to activate it. Once we select this option, the property will reset to 0. We can freely switch between single and multiple slopes, but only the current selection will be active in the project. The drawing tools allow us to create topography lines. Activate the Line tool. We'll start by placing our first point at the pillar we added to the left wall. Then move to the right 90 feet and left-click at the right wall. In the terrain stage, just as in walls and fences, we can draw incomplete shapes. So we'll left-click again to end this topography line. While in the terrain stage, the line will display its elevation. This first line represents the raised planter area in the back of the yard. Let's go to the contour height box in the panel and set the height to 2 feet. Next, we want to create a level area around the house and future backyard design. To do this, we'll draw a complete shape to enclose the entire area that we would like to remain flat. We'll use the Measure guide to determine our first point. Activate the Measure tool and left-click on the bottom left corner of the house. Measure down 4 feet and left-click to set the distance. We now know where the terrain shape should begin. Press A to activate the Line tool and left-click at the end of the 4-foot measure guide to start the line. Then move your mouse to the right 74 feet and left-click. This aligns us with the gate to the backyard. Now draw up 80 feet and left-click. To complete the shape, we'll draw to the left 74 feet and double-click the last point to finish the shape. We now have a complete shape around our design area. Everything inside of this box will have a level elevation based on the value we enter in the contour height box. We'll set this area to 0 feet. Our next contour line is for the sloping driveway at the front of the house. We'll activate the Measure guide again to set the distance. Left-click the bottom left corner of the house. Measure down 25 feet and left-click. Now we'll activate the Line tool to draw the next contour. left-click to start the line and draw right 74 feet, and double left-click to stop drawing. In the contour height box, set this contour line to -2 feet. Finally, we'll add contour lines behind the property to create the hill that appears behind our house. This time, we'll activate the Freehand tool. Freehand works like pencil to paper. Hold down the left mouse button and move the mouse to create lines and arcs. We'll create 2 simple contours using the Freeform tool. Once the lines are in place, select the first line by clicking the contour label and set the contour height to 10 feet. Then click the second line and set the height to 30 feet. Let's take a look at our multiple slopes in 3D by clicking the 2D 3D button. All of the lines we created in 2D are represented by yellow contour lines in 3D. As we move our mouse into the viewport, you'll notice our cursor is surrounded by a yellow circle. As you hover over an area, you can see the elevation of the ground below. While in 3D, we also have a special set of 3D terrain tools. Changes with these tools will affect both single and multiple slopes. These tools help us create realistic terrain by naturally shaping the ground and painting it with materials. To use 3D terrain tools, hold down the Control key on the keyboard. Let's use these tools to add a tree mound in the front yard. We'll start with the Elevation tool. As we hold down the Control key and left mouse button, we start to create a mound. It will continue to rise until we stop pressing the mouse button. The mound is too tall, so we'll press Undo until the ground is flat. Let's start the mound again, but this time set a height for the mound to rise to. In the panel, turn off Auto Height and set the height to 9 inches. When Auto Height is active, the ground will raise with left click and lower with right click, just like we saw when creating our mound. It will continue to raise or lower until you stop pressing the mouse button. Setting a value will set a specific height for the terrain to raise or lower to. With the height set, use the Elevation tool to set the mound to 9 inches. Because we set the elevation, the ground will not raise or lower past the 9-inch setting. The ground looks uneven, so let's smooth it out. Activate the Smooth tool. Hold down Control and smooth the mound by holding down the left mouse button. Now that our mound is in place, we can use the Paint tool to choose the material we want to paint on the terrain. We'll activate the Paint tool and set the brush strength to strong. The brush strength controls how fast the terrain changes in 3D. We want to create a bed of mulch, so we'll select the mulch under Paintbrush Material. As we hold down Control and the left mouse button, we'll paint the mound with the mulch material. The stronger the brush strength, the more saturated the paint will be. We can also customize our paintbrush palette. Double-click on the swatch you would like to replace. This will open the library to choose a new material. Once you find the material you'd like to use, press Apply Material or double-click on the material in the library. This material is now a swatch for our paintbrush and ready to paint. This completes instruction on terrain. Thanks for watching. For more information, please visit structurestudios.com/help.